We first met Jack Burt a little over a year ago. It was June of 2020. The pandemic had just set in and plenty of us needed some sort of routine for getting through those early strange days of COVID.
Now, Jack is a professor of trumpet at the University of Maine. In the spring of 2020, with classes canceled and no practices or performances on the calendar, he took to posting trumpet etudes on YouTube, calling it "an etude a day keeps the COVID away."
I did this basically to stay sane and keep my head out of the news and not get depressed.
So what exactly is an etude?
Well, you asked the same question that my sister asked when I started posting these things. She said, "What's an etude anyways?" Etudes are kind of like in the middle ground between music and exercises. They are definitely not intended for concerts or performances for the most part, but their purpose is to work out things on the instrument, whether it's a certain type of articulation, a certain kind of expression, scales, leaps.
They're very in difficulty.
Absolutely. They're etudes for beginners. They're etudes that I can't play. Sometimes it's beautiful. Sometimes it's just trumpet stuff.
Okay.
Now, from April till August, during the early months of the pandemic, he performed and posted 185 etudes. We checked in with Jack last August, and he was still posting, but he thought he'd wrap things up as the school year was approaching. Sure enough, Jack didn't stop. And if you check out his channel on YouTube, you will see that he is still at it. When we talked last August, you kind of felt like you were going to finish out the month and then you were going to stop.
Right.
But apparently that is not exactly what happened.
Well, you know the old Chicago song, Hard Habit to Break, Peter Cetera? Well, I spend my day with my trumpet in my hand, and I spend my day teaching etudes and music. And so while I'm teaching, I'm thinking of, I haven't done that one, or this one I didn't like how I did, I'm going to redo.
When the school year started up last fall, Jack continued to teach trumpet. He worked remotely from home or camp, and his students used his office on campus.
I had my horns, I had my books, and sometimes I had a 2-hour break between lessons.
Plenty of time to record more etudes. Are you surprised that you've kept going over the year?
Well, no, in a way not, because this has always been my life, teaching and playing these things. I did my job all last year. My job hadn't changed. Music teaching in the colleges, although the mode changed, my amount of time and what I taught was the same. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of worked this into my daily schedule anyways. It does keep me honest as a player.
Yeah, well, and that's a tall task, I gather. Jack was the music director of the UMaine Jazz Ensemble, a position he stepped away from last spring. In a year when the pandemic challenged all teachers in ways they never imagined, he got to observe the joy his students felt about simply making music.
It was the best year teaching that ensemble that I had in 15 years that I've done this. It was miserable for me. It was agonizingly unfun for the students, but they were all there because they were dying to play their music and be with their friends and play the thing that they're going to school, do the thing they're going to school for. And it was really heartening because I never had a single attendance issue with any student. I never had any lateness issue with any student. They were just there, ready to play and happy to do it regardless of the circumstances. That's kind of like what we all did. We kept, even though none of us were standing in front of an audience and getting applause or making money, we were doing this because it's what we do and we love it so much.
That has to be incredibly rewarding for you to be able to talk about that year when you would expect it. What you would be saying is, it was the worst year ever. We didn't get anything done, and instead it sounds like it was maybe one of the best years you had as a teacher.
In terms of my relationship to my students and our ability to work together, yes, no question.
Now, when we spoke last week, Jack was planning to go to Austria to visit the company that makes many of the horns he plays with. He hopes to record his final etude there in Austria while at the shop. Will he really stop posting? We will let you know. And we'll include a link to Jack's Etude a Day page on YouTube where to date, he's posted a total of 349 etudes. And in a few moments, we'll close out the show tonight, of course, with another etude.
I will be surprised if he actually stops.
I agree. I think he's going to keep going.
He's on a roll now.